Greetings, Marsh here, and welcome to episode 193 of my modded Factorio playthrough. In this episode, we're going to start working on better ammo. Enjoy. And follow it down the chain because it's not necessarily hard, but there's a lot that goes into it. So the end goal is the magazine. Let's just set it to one machine and see what happens. 1 per second's probably pretty good, so we probably don't have to worry about it too much. It needs a magazine made from steel. Easy enough. Strangely enough, that can take productivity, so we probably should. Can this one take productivities? No. And then we need the bullets, which comes from a projectile, cordite, and the bullet casing. The projectile is copper and lead. The cordite is a little complicated. Let's save that one for last. We can do the bullet casing, which is our first use of gunmetal plate. And we can kind of come back here, grab that cordite, because it is a little complicated. Where it's gun cotton, petroleum jelly, and finally using nitroglycerin after researching it so long ago. The gun cotton comes from wood and nitric acid. And it looks like these are the wrong type of machines. It's interesting they changed that to a star. But hey, productivities, whenever they're available, use them to the maximum extent you can get away with. We're already making nitric acid somewhere else, and that's a reasonable amount of wood. So petroleum jelly is kind of our first major use of residual gas, because right now we're just using residual gas to make fuel blocks and just burning it. But now we can actually turn it into something slightly more useful than just a little bit of fuel. And we need the nitroglycerin, which comes from glycerol liquid, sulfuric acid, and nitric acid. And hey, productivity's in there too. The acids we're already making, so we don't have to worry about those. The thing we do need to concern ourselves with now is finally we have a use for glycerol. Now I doubt it's going to be enough to where we stop burning it, but at least we're using it for something now. So that's kind of why I wanted to do this process so long ago, because I knew we would need that glycerol liquid eventually. So that makes this significantly more simple than it otherwise would be, because you're looking at all these liquids, you're like, oh no, nitric acid, residual gas, glycerol liquid, sulfuric acid. We're making all of those. That's done. And those numbers, they seem fine. I mean, we're not going to be making ammo that fast, so I don't think we really need to even worry about the numbers. The main question is just the logistics of it. Because if we're consuming resources this quickly, that's going to be a drone probably once every 10 seconds or so for these two. So that's kind of a lot of drones, and also this acid up here. So actually, it's a reasonable amount. So we can either put a bunch of those liquids on trains, or perhaps more intelligently, we can send the plates down. Let's get out of the way of these machines here, because we really don't need that many plates. So on here, the gunmetal plates are what they are, that they can't be put into a coil. But the copper sure can. And same with the lead. So this is much better. Oh yeah, we need steel too, but that's a much better number as far as what drones could do. So when you're thinking about, would we rather drones move coils or move the liquids? Well, that's one drone, like 10 minutes or longer. Like that's more than enough. Like a single drone could handle all of that. Except for this, he might be going kind of fast there. But knowing that means that we should probably do a lot of this acid processing near where all of the acids are. And then this can be anywhere else that's convenient. Although drones can move that efficiently, I think I did mention that in the past that this might be a good thing to put on an intermediates bus, or I think I called it an ammo bus, but considering it's really not that complicated, and our intermediates bus is very empty. It just has batteries on there right now. It seems pretty reasonable to put it there. But if we look at this, we've basically just got acids, so we can put those on pipes, and there's already pipes moving around the factory anyway. And send some wood on a drone probably. And then we can make the cordite, and then the cordite can go on a drone up to where all this is happening. And the rest of these can be just delivered by trains. And then it would make the ammo, and then the ammo itself could be delivered by drones. So what about the numbers? Knowing that, well, we might actually want to calculate some stuff now, because as far as metals are concerned, we need very little metal to make this ammo. The problem is the cordite, or specifically the nitric acid, or 120 acid a second. So let's see, where are we making that acid from? Let's see, I think this is the one that makes the extra nitric acid, I believe, from nothing, essentially. So, how fast could these go? 168. Which is not that far off from what we're doing now. Well, we do have other methods of making it. This method right here, the primary way, it's probably not going to be that much faster because it still has the 3 machines. Yeah, 130, so those numbers are probably pretty good. I don't think we really have to worry about them. And it looks like productivity modules go in basically everything but the bullets, which is kind of interesting. The bullets and I guess the actual ammo magazines themselves. So since we don't need them to go any faster, we can just put efficiencies in there. And go with this. And also making it on this intermediates bus is probably a good idea because it's already next to a road. And drones would be coming in and leaving with the ammo, so it seems like a good enough spot to put it. But we need to make sure we request the correct resources here. We're going to need, I guess, copper, lead, steel, and gunmetal. So let's turn this off for a second. Looks like lead's already here, that's nice. So negative, I think it's 256. Or do we increase this? Looks like we increase the size to 512. Oh yeah, that is something we need to do, is upgrade all of our trains. So that's on the list of things to do here, since we have our new bus now. There's the steel. And finally gunmetal, our first use of it. And turn this back on and it should make the request. I want to get this process started now because it's going to take the trains a while to fill everything up. There we go. That kind of took a little while. Let's see, are we not quite full on copper? Correct. Let's see, these might launch a little faster if there was another signal right there, but it probably doesn't matter. So there we go. Starting to use that gunmetal. Okay. Well, let's make the cordite then. And where to do it? See, that's normal because it's requesting so much of it that it's just not available right now. So we do have the sulfuric acid going to the side. We might just need to add to that because we do need to get the glycerol liquid from all the way up here. And that's going to be sent down and this way. So one more pipe to add. Otherwise, it's nitric and sulfuric. And the residual gas, we can just process these things and send them down by drone. So where is the nearest place that sulfuric and nitric acid is available? Seems to be right here. We could send them in the opposite direction. It wouldn't be that difficult to just have it over here somewhere. And we would need wood as well, and wood is right here. And we kind of have an empty space here. Well, let's see what we can do. I kind of want a theory craft here before we start committing to things. Yeah, probably should just build this in a nice big empty space. And then we'll figure out what the end result of it is. And we'll put it wherever it needs to go. So we'll claim this spot. So 6, 12, 18, close enough. So this is making the gun cotton, which requires its nitric acid from somewhere. And the wood, which was nearby. And then it comes up here, and we'll say, gets mixed. From the petroleum jelly coming from somewhere else. And then it keeps going up. Then we need 18 machines, probably doing something honestly very similar to this. Because it has, let's see, I guess grab this. Kind of the same types of inputs. I have to kind of layer those down a little bit and see what we get. So 20 machines, we'll take these ones off. And that makes the cordite, which goes wherever it needs to go. And also it has its own input of the fluids, which is the nitroglycerin. And that nitroglycerin can be made elsewhere. Well, this is kind of a tight fit in there. But let's do it up here instead, because we can do the nitroglycerin part, even though it's small, in that other spot. We probably want to make sure these pipes don't completely line up with each other. So maybe something like this. Using up all our resources, but we also want to get bots to help us, and luckily they're not too far away now. Which is what happens when you expand the bot network, is eventually they stop needing to go quite as far to reach the places you need them to be. And they're kind of already here. Okay, we need to get the glycerol liquid up here. And we don't want to take up a slot that was used by a different acid. So I think this one up here is safe. Let's just take this one and see what happens if we run into anything on the way. There's kind of a gap right here, which is interesting. Well, might as well take it. Probably want to be careful where we put this, because we don't want to completely crowd over what's already here. But it's probably less important since we don't use the roads for much anymore. Or at least we don't drive on them. The drones do, but they don't seem to mind. Let's see, we've got a lot of stuff on here. I think a lot of this just got moved into new technology, so that's why we've got all of this stuff on here, but I don't know if it's worth making storage tanks. I mean, it probably is, not for our uses, but for the robots' uses. So we got some stuff to put on the network still. But we'll want to pump in here, and it'll take longer because we don't have the resources that go into it. That's okay because we don't handcraft these too much anymore. But we need to pump it because it's going a long way. Okay, seems to be making it down here. And kind of stops here because we need to process it. We don't have chemical plants on the new bus yet, so those are more things to make. But they are on the old one, at least certain tiers of them. Actually, can we even use these at all? Because it requires 3 inputs. So do we need the advanced ones instead? Yes, we do. And I don't think we're making the advanced ones. Okay, we've got to have the next tier of advanced plants. I guess not. Does it go straight to purple? Advanced plant 2? I guess so. Alright, well, this needs to be changed then. Well, that's going to require a few more of them because they're slower. And now we're running into resource problems. So yeah, next order of business is making sure all of this other random stuff is on the new bus, and then we could probably tear all of this down, finally. Okay, we need to put a bunch of these in line. Probably don't want to smush it too close to stuff. But we might not have a choice. Because as you see, they're kind of big. Let's see, what do we got going on here? Oh, another crash. It happens. So that'll be 3 of them, and then are we going to be able to get 9 in here? Maybe if we smash them in here. Good enough, I suppose. Okay, we need to get all these pipes reaching. For here, because it's going such a long distance, I kind of want to have another pump. And then we'll do an inline tank here. There we go. I'll disconnect these so it doesn't run yet. So let's do something like that. Hey, they're finally getting here. And where is that nitric? Right here. But it also has to be sent down, right? Yeah. So it's kind of odd how this is doing. Let's check the pipe visualizer here. It seems like it's doing something very odd. Like it's doing a big loop. Yeah. It totally is. And it seems like it really has no reason to do that. Like we can just pull all this out, especially because it's going right over this stuff, which is a little complicated looking. But see, you could just kind of go up there instead. And then we can send it this way. We do need some productivity modules in here. And are robots eventually going to come down here? Put these in here. I think they picked them up and took them back. So they might be a long time before they get back there. So maybe I should just make a few of my own. We also need to get these modules hooked up. And actually that wouldn't be very difficult to do. Oh, it looks like it can skip every other pole. Or at least when they're that close together. Another crash. Then we can extend this out to, at the very least, the other module locations. We'll probably want to fully expand the network at some point and include everything from around here, but for now, we can do that. And now we should be seeing construction robots coming up here. Although we need to actually make those storage chests first. Otherwise, they're not going to do much. So we got to do agricultural module 2, productivity 2, efficiency 2, and speed 2. Now they should be coming up here. There we go. And we can also use this as an opportunity to make our inventory nice and clean. We probably only need 100 of each type. And carrying the agricultural ones around might be kind of a waste right now, because we just don't really need them. Really only for farms, and we rarely build those. So there we go. Now the robots are helping us with our modules at least. Let's see, how are we looking here? Oh my goodness. And there's still more stuff to be disassembled. Well, I can keep kind of doing that. Whew. Look at all those shells. And that's a lot of coal. Well, coal isn't that far off. So I kind of want to add it in here. because we're getting filled up on coal. So anytime storage warehouse has a bunch of junk in it, well, then that's something we need to clean up. Wow, looks like they just barely reach. Skipping every other pole here. Well, I will gladly do it if it is available to me. And as far as where to dump them, who knows? It will eventually find where it needs to go if it's placed in either of these. Perhaps we should do a strong box instead. And set that to coal. The lights on power lines is less important these days than it was before. Since we have night vision now. But there we go. It's now connected. So if we put all that in our inventory, it should get sent down there. No. That's not what I wanted to see. They could just be prioritizing this because there's so much coal in here. Well, we can do this in another janky way. Let's turn off logistics for a second. And clear all of that coal out of there. So hopefully now it won't get sent there if we pick it up. There we go. Yeah, I think it was just prioritizing that because there was so much. And actually there's carbon in here too that we could send down there fairly easily. Might want to help the bots get it down there because we're using pretty much every bot available to us. And there's still a bunch of the coal left over, so probably should help them. Seems like they're not taking the best of path to get down there, because there isn't really a straight path, so they're probably gonna stair step it, as you can kind of see. Yeah. They might take a long time. Because they're gonna go, like, stair step, but they'll make it. And this is just a burst. Where anytime you set something up, there's going to be a bunch of them doing stupid stuff for a while, and then it's going to equalize. Well, I might have to help them anyway, because I don't want all my bots just being used for all of that time. So where would they want a charge point to be? Probably like right here. Okay, so if they make it there, then what are they going to do? Come down somewhere over here and get confused? Yep, somewhere right around here. Well, let's put this sort of in the middle so it's not necessarily competing with space for those other ones. And there we go. That should connect them all. Of course, now they're committed to their questionable decisions. But they're starting to turn into a line here. And then they're going to wait a very long time to get inside this one chest. Well, it's not exactly necessary to have this many places for them to park, but I don't want them sitting there all day. So there we go. It looks like they're finally in a bit of a line here. Okay, well, we had carbon, and carbon is just over here. And it just occurred to me that we didn't really have to do this at all. We could have just made the entire storehouse the proper kind. And now for a second they're confused, but now there's somewhere new to go. So then we can upgrade this one to a storehouse as well. Throw all the carbon in there. And do another one. throw all the coke in here. Now when we grab the carbon, it too should be sent on its way. And there they go. Man, it's amazing how much of that stuff we made. And how much of it was coal. Now that we're done with that destruction, the rest of this setup should be built by now. With the correct modules in it. Well, the ones we would have placed. But there we go. So we hook all these up. And they're working away. Making that nitroglycerin, which needs to go in here. And let's put this back up so we can see what we're doing. We need wood to go in there, and we are delivering it. It's kind of a zigzag, unfortunately, but we can make it less of a zigzag by just going under things. Although it is what it is. Let's see. Let's just connect it in the middle somewhere. It's always nice to have inline tanks anywhere where there's flow, just to absorb any fluctuations. And oh yeah, it has to go to the other side as well. Actually, it might be better to do it down here since it's a shorter distance. And actually, let's make another one. Not that it really matters, I just don't want to waste what we've made. Because we want to pressurize the system. So we'll pump it out of here. Wonder what that's doing to our acids. I mean, making them go down a little bit, but it's probably not going to have that big of an impact. We should probably keep an eye on it, just out of curiosity, to see what happens. Of course, every time the level goes down, we're going to see huge spurts. There it is. As all of the acid products catch up. At some point, we're probably going to find ourselves short of it, just not right now. And nothing's happening because... it is nitric acid as opposed to the nitroglycerin. I guess the nitroglycerin goes up here. Well, that's a little unfortunate. But we can pump that out. It looks like the system's empty. So it's actually up here. Well, okay. If that's the case, we can kind of just do it in line a little bit. How about... I don't know, it doesn't really matter. Up here. And let's drain this tank again. I think this is officially the final spot. It is where it's going to go now. And let's move it to the other side again. Okay, well that's in there. So we have to get nitric acid, which is kind of more the same. Do we have any up here? Yeah, we do actually. As a part of making fertilizer. So we can just keep this going a little bit and probably don't even need to connect that. Well, in that case, I probably should have tried to line this up a little better, but it looks like it never would have been perfectly straight anyway. So there's the gun cotton, and this needs to be switched to the cordite. And it's using the correct resources. Alright. Petroleum jelly. We could send it on a pipe, but that's kind of excessive considering we only need 0.72 of it per second. So that is super friendly to what drones here can do. But a single machine will get it done, and it looks like we're venting it. That's interesting. Do we just not have the liquid fuel available? Yeah, that seems to be the case. Are the farms running at full blast? I mean, kinda, but also kinda not really. Well, I guess they are. I mean, the farms aren't necessarily all going at full blast, but when you look at the machines that are actually doing stuff, they are. So basically, we just can't make liquid fuel fast enough. Because right now what we're doing is completely attempting to save all of the mineralized water. So we're clarifying it because we can't get rid of it, and we're getting rid of the residual gas because we can't process it. And it is what it is. You know, you try to use everything, but if you commit yourself to using every last byproduct, you will be very frustrated. Because it's almost impossible to consistently use every last drop of everything. So you kind of have to pick your battles. Residual gas is over here, so it would kind of make sense for this machine to go over here, and it's kind of weird how it's just sitting here. But I think it'll be fine. We only need the one. Petroleum jelly, productivities, and then we can even put an underground right here. I guess it would need to be one square over. Let's see, would this work better? I mean, kinda. It's not particularly straight, but it doesn't need to be. I would say this is just a temporary thing. It is not a temporary thing at all, but it's also just a single machine, so I don't know. Who cares? If we needed to make a whole bunch more of it, we might care, but it's just ammo. Okay, supply depot, which we could put right next door. Well, if that's the case, I kind of do want to just stick it right on the road, because then everything could be straight. Then we need an inserter, filling that up. But also, we need some logic for it. Let's see, I think we just need the writer for this, because we want to be able to shut it down if it doesn't have enough in it. There we go. And that can be connected. So, if this jelly is less than 600, which I believe is a drone stack these days, it will keep going. And it has to have equal to or greater than 600 to be enabled. And that's the end of this episode. On the next one, we're going to finish up with Cordite and start making better ammo. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.